We were exploring the history of bread, the ups, the downs, and a phrase that kept coming up over and over is the greatest thing since sliced bread. We can trace its roots back to the late 1920s, Chillicothe, Missouri, at the Chillicothe Baking Company, the very first bakery in the United States to use a brand new invention of its time, the electric bread slicing machine. It was invented by a young man from Iowa, Otto Frederick Rohwedder, and it launched an immediate sensation in the Chillicothe area. Within 2 weeks, sales had jumped 20 times, a 2,000% increase, as people lined up, apparently, to get their loaf of sliced bread. Prior to the invention of sliced bread, the American homemaker had to slice each bread individually. It was time-consuming to make toast, to make sandwiches. It was resulting in knife cuts at home. It wasn't exactly safe. When sliced bread came along, it solved all of those problems. Overall, it was faster, easier, smarter, and better. Easier to use in a brand new invention of its time, the electric pop-up toaster. About 2 years later, became a national launch of a bread that we know today, Wonder Bread. And from there, it became a national sensation, and the phrase, the greatest thing since sliced bread, emerged. It's a phrase that's a tribute to American innovation and ingenuity. By 1935, half of the bread sold in America was sliced bread. But that wasn't the end of it. There was still more to come on the horizon. As we approached 1940 and 41, enrichment was the next big leap forward in the growth of bread. Enrichment was important to the national health coming out of the Great Depression and coming into the Second World War. It was an answer by adding vitamins and minerals to avoiding pretty bad diseases of the time. The positive impact on American health was dramatic. Over the next several years, the incidence of these vitamin deficiency diseases began to fall off until today they're virtually non-existent in America. So enrichment takes us through the 1940s. But let's go ahead to the 1970s when we see the next big development in the American diet, the invention of fast food. We were thrilled. We were excited about the convenience of having a burger on a bun delivered to us within seconds. That uniformity, that great taste, the fact that it was better than what many of us could get at home, propelled that next phase of growth in grain consumption and in bread consumption and in specifically buns and rolls and the bread that was used to make sandwiches at fast food restaurants. The sales of such foods just immediately took off in America and went on a hard charge for the next 2 decades. If you were in the milling and baking industry during this time, you felt there was no end in sight. But in fact, there was. There were certain clouds on the horizon in the late 1990s. We know it today as the Atkins diet. In our next episode, we'll continue the story with how Atkins affected health-related and diet-related trends and how changes in the American household are leading to the decline in bread consumption today.